Well, it's possible to transform at any moment in our lives, at any time in our lives. What nature tells us is that we work in terms of cycles. Nature is cyclic. And every moment of our lives, we're creating new cycles through the emotions that we create. Our emotions and the way we feel about the events of our lives set into motion a pattern of events that will go through a logical cycle until something changes that pattern. In between the patterns, when one cycle ends, another one begins, there's this magical, mystical place that our ancestors have talked about for a very long time. It's the place in between, what many scientists are calling a choice point opportunity. It's the moment that the one cycle is ended, the next cycle is yet to begin, and in that place we have the potent opportunity. It's what our ancestors called the crack between the worlds. So for example, when we wake up in the morning when the sky is light, but the sun's not up yet, it's not truly daylight, there's no sun, it's not nighttime, it's not dark, it's the crack between the worlds, and that's the time that's most potent for our prayers, is what our ancestors tell us. The same at the end of the day when the sun begins to set. That principle applies to these cycles, and the beauty of the cycles is that there is always a place where one cycle ends, the next cycle begins, and it's that moment. If we understand what that moment means to us, our choices become even more potent. And we're kind of riding the waves of nature rather than pushing against the principles that make it a little bit more difficult for us to make the cycles. So when we talk about individuals, this can happen in our relationships, it can happen in our healing. When we talk about a civilization, a planetary civilization, we're looking at the same thing, only on larger scales. And what we know is that right now we are at a choice point in terms of civilizational cycles. We're living a convergence of a number of cycles. Climate cycles we certainly know about. Economic cycles are becoming very apparent. One that's less apparent is cycles of human conflict. I had the opportunity to speak at the United Nations with Bruce Lipton a few years ago. They were surprised when we talked about cycles of conflict. They said, isn't it spontaneous? Doesn't it just happen when it happens? It may, but the reality is, and what science shows is that our ability to work together, cooperate, and solve our problems is very closely linked to solar cycles. Bottom line, when the magnetic fields are strong, we are more cooperative, we're more willing to work together. And when those fields are weak, just the opposite, we happen to be living in the weakest point of Earth's planetary magnetic cycles, as well as a time between solar cycles, when those magnetic solar minimum, when those cycles are weak. And I'm not surprised to see the conflict that's emerging. But here's the beauty. If you look at the cycles, they're rhythmic cycles, and you can see the beginnings of the great wars of the past have always been the tops and the bottoms of the cycles, the ends of the wars. So not are we living the greatest vulnerability in terms of conflict, but we're living the greatest opportunity to create peace. Because when we recognize what these cycles are telling us, it's an opportunity for us to work together very consciously on a much deeper level.